Power shapes everything around us: who rises, who falls, who influences, and who obeys. Whether in politics, business, or everyday life, the ability to control perception, outmaneuver rivals, and command respect is the difference between success and failure. But true power isn't just about strength or intelligence. It's about strategy. The 48 laws of power reveal the timeless principles used by history's most powerful figures, leaders, rulers, con artists, and warlords, to gain and maintain control. Some laws demand deception and manipulation, like concealing your intentions, Law 3, or playing to people's fantasies, Law 32. Others teach discipline and restraint, like never going past your goal, Law 47, or avoiding envy by appearing humble, Law 46. Master these laws, and you can turn enemies into pawns, make others work for you, and stay untouchable. Ignore them, and you risk becoming a victim of those who do understand them. Power is a game. Are you ready to play? Law 1. Never outshine the master. Want to stay in power? Never make your boss, leader, or anyone above you feel insecure. Impress them, sure, but don't go too far. If they feel threatened, you'll be the first one they take down. A classic example? Nicolas Fouquet, a high-ranking official in France, threw an extravagant party to impress King Louis XIV. But instead of winning favor, he made the king feel overshadowed. The result? Fouquet was arrested and spent the rest of his life in prison. Now, compare that to Galileo. Instead of just making a big discovery and taking all the credit, he cleverly dedicated his findings about Jupiter's moons to the powerful Medici family. This flattery secured their support and protected his career. Key takeaways from Law 1. 1. Never make your superiors feel insecure. Always let them shine. 2. Flattery and strategic humility can secure your position. 3. If you outshine the master, expect consequences. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Friends are great until they aren't. They can become jealous, entitled, or even turn against you. Surprisingly, a former enemy can be more loyal because they have something to prove. Look at Basilius, a stable boy who was lifted to power by the Byzantine Emperor Michael III. The king trusted him completely until Basilius betrayed him, took the throne, and had him killed. Trusting a friend blindly can be fatal. On the other hand, Emperor Sung played it smart. Instead of fearing his military generals, he offered them wealth and security, making them too comfortable to rebel. Instead of threats, he used incentives. Key takeaways from Law 2. 1. Friends can become envious and betray you. 2. A former enemy can be a more reliable ally because they have something to prove. 3. Instead of suppressing threats, neutralize them with strategic rewards. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. The less people know about your true goals, the harder it is for them to stop you. Keep them guessing for as long as possible. By the time they figure out what you want, it'll be too late. Secrecy is a powerful tool, and those who master it can outmaneuver even the strongest opponents. Ninon de l'Enclos, a legendary courtesan in 17th century France, understood this well. The Marquis de Sévigné was in love with a countess, and he trusted Ninon to help him win her heart. But Ninon had other plans. She misled him with bad advice, manipulated situations to his disadvantage, and ultimately ruined his chances. He never saw the betrayal coming. Then there's Otto von Bismarck, the mastermind behind Germany's rise to power. Early on, he helped Prussia avoid war with Austria, appearing as a loyal statesman. But years later, when the time was right, he turned against Austria and waged war, reshaping Europe forever. Likewise, Haile Selassie used deception to defeat his enemies. Instead of attacking Balcha of Sidamo head-on, he bribed his entire army with gold. Without a single fight, Balcha surrendered, allowing Selassie to become king of Ethiopia. Key takeaways from Law 3. 1. Keep your real intentions hidden. Mystery is power. 2. Deception is a powerful tool if used wisely. 3. When you finally reveal your move, make sure it's too late for anyone to stop you. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Powerful people know that silence is strength. The more you talk, the more you reveal, and the more you risk saying something foolish. Words can be dangerous. Once spoken, they can't be taken back. Those who speak too much give away their thoughts, making themselves predictable and vulnerable. Take Coriolanus, a Roman warrior, whose name alone commanded fear and respect. He had built a reputation through sheer force and bravery, but when he stepped into politics, he made a fatal mistake. He talked too much. His speeches were filled with arrogance and insults, making enemies out of the very people he needed to win over. Instead of securing power, he provoked the public into turning against him. His words sealed his downfall, leading to his exile and eventual assassination. Contrast this with Louis XIV, the Sun King of France. He was known for his calculated words and reserved demeanor. When his ministers sought guidance, he often responded with a simple yet powerful phrase, "I shall see." This left them uncertain of his true thoughts, making him appear all-knowing and unshakable. By saying less, he maintained absolute control over his court. Key takeaways from Law 4. 1. Say less. Mystery makes people respect you. 2. The more you talk, the more vulnerable you become. 3. Power comes from letting others wonder what you're thinking. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. It determines how people perceive you, how they treat you, and whether they fear or respect you. A strong reputation can protect you from enemies, while a damaged one can ruin you, even if it's based on lies. That's why you must guard it fiercely. A legendary example is General Chuko Liang, a master of deception and strategy. One day, faced with an overwhelming enemy force of 150,000 troops, he found himself in a seemingly hopeless situation. Instead of panicking, he did something unthinkable. He opened the city gates, sat calmly on the walls, and played his zither. The enemy, knowing his reputation for cunning tricks, assumed they were walking into an ambush. Paralyzed by fear, they retreated without ever attacking. His reputation alone won the battle. He didn't need an army, just the fear and respect he had built over time. A solid reputation is a weapon that works even when you do nothing. Key takeaways from Law 5. 1. Reputation is your most valuable asset. Protect it at all costs. 2. A strong reputation can do more than brute force. 3. If people fear or respect your name, you've already won half the battle. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. In a world where perception is everything, being invisible is the same as being irrelevant. If no one notices you, you don't exist. That's why standing out is essential, even if it means controversy. No one understood this better than P.T. Barnum, the legendary showman. He thrived on publicity, believing that as long as people were talking about him, he was winning. To stay in the public eye, he did something outrageous. He gave his worst critics front-row seats at his circus. He even wrote anonymous attacks on himself in newspapers, just to stir up discussion. The result? His name stayed on everyone's lips, and the public was always eager to see what he would do next. Barnum knew that in business, entertainment, and even politics, people remember those who command attention. Blending in is the fastest way to be forgotten. Key takeaways from Law 6. 1. Attention equals power. Make sure people notice you. 2. Even bad press can work in your favor if you control the narrative. 3. The worst thing you can be? forgettable. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. The most powerful people in history didn't do everything themselves. They leveraged the work of others while taking the credit. This saves time, energy, and builds an aura of effortless genius. Consider Vasco de Balboa, a Spanish explorer who spent years searching for the legendary riches of the New World. He finally discovered a vast empire filled with gold, the Inca Empire. But instead of keeping this discovery to himself, he boasted about it too soon. One of his soldiers, Francisco Pizarro, saw an opportunity. He had Balboa beheaded and took full credit for the discovery, eventually conquering the Incas and claiming all the glory. A more elegant example, William Shakespeare. Many of his plays borrowed heavily from earlier works, including Plutarch's historical accounts, but Shakespeare transformed them with his storytelling genius. Today, he is remembered as one of the greatest writers of all time, while the sources he borrowed from are mostly forgotten. Key takeaways from Law 7. 1. Let others do the hard work, then take credit for it. 2. If you reveal too much, someone else might steal your success. 3. History remembers results, not effort. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait, if necessary. Power is about control, and the one who dictates the terms of engagement has the advantage. If you chase your enemies, you give them control over the battlefield. But if you make them come to you, you can dictate the conditions of their defeat. A perfect example is Napoleon at Waterloo. The Duke of Wellington and his allied forces knew that Napoleon was desperate for victory. Instead of rushing into battle, they strategically positioned themselves and forced Napoleon to come to them. By the time he arrived, his troops were exhausted, low on supplies, and facing an enemy that had the upper hand. The result? One of the most crushing defeats in history. By making your opponent come to you, you force them to move when you are ready, not when they are. This strategy works in business, politics, and everyday life. The one who controls the battlefield controls the outcome. Key takeaways from Law 8. 1. Never chase. Let your enemies come to you. 2. The one who controls the battlefield controls the outcome. 3. Patience and strategy always beat reckless action. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. People don't like to be proven wrong. Even if you win an argument, you create resentment, and that resentment will come back to hurt you. Instead of debating, prove your point through action. Look at Publius Crassus, a Roman general who needed a battering ram for battle. He spotted a large mast on a ship and demanded it, but the ship's engineer argued endlessly, insisting a smaller mast was better. Instead of acting, he kept debating. Crassus, furious at his defiance, had him executed on the spot. His stubbornness cost him his life. Now compare that to Leonardo da Vinci. When Florence's mayor, Piero Soderini, criticized his sculpture's nose, da Vinci didn't argue. Instead, he pretended to chisel the nose while secretly just sprinkling some dust. When Soderini saw the improved sculpture, he was satisfied. Da Vinci had won through action, not debate. Key takeaways from Law 9. 1. Actions are stronger than words. Prove your point instead of arguing. 2. Winning an argument often creates resentment. 3. The smartest people let others think they're right, while getting what they want. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Emotions are contagious. Spend too much time around negative, unlucky, or self-destructive people, and their misfortune will start to affect you. Some people bring chaos wherever they go. Avoid them at all costs. A chilling example is Lola Montez, a dancer whose mere presence ruined the lives of powerful men. She seduced King Ludwig of Bavaria, and under her influence, he made disastrous decisions that cost him his throne. Another lover, Alexandra Dujarier died in a duel over her. George Trafford Heald was exiled, and Pat Hull lost everything. Every man she touched ended in ruin, yet they willingly walked into her trap. This law isn't just about avoiding negativity. It's about choosing the right people to surround yourself with. Stay close to winners, thinkers, and positive influences, and their success will rub off on you. Key takeaways from Law 10. 1. Negativity is contagious. Stay away from toxic people. 2. The company you keep shapes your future. 3. Surround yourself with winners, and success will follow. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Power comes from making others need you. The more people depend on you, the more control you have over them. If they feel they can replace you, you become disposable. But if they believe they can't function without you, they will never betray you. Consider the Count of Carmagnola, a brilliant military leader. He served the city of Venice, helping them win critical battles. But he made one fatal mistake. He allowed himself to become replaceable. Once Venice no longer needed him, they had him executed. His usefulness had expired. Compare that to Louis XI of France. He wanted to kill an astrologer, believing him to be a fraud. So he asked him, "Tell me, how long do you have to live?" and prepared his guards to execute him. But the astrologer was clever. He responded, "I shall die 3 days before your majesty." Louis, terrified of losing his own life, kept the astrologer safe for years. By making himself indispensable, the astrologer saved himself from death. Key takeaways from Law 11. 1. The more people depend on you, the more power you have. 2. If you become replaceable, you become disposable. 3. Make yourself so valuable that others will protect you at all costs. If you found this helpful, trust me, the next part will be even better. Subscribe now and stay updated.